Donald Trump will be the oldest president in history when he takes the oath of office. He'll be 78. He'll be 84 when he leaves. Never before has a man of his age become president of the United States. He brings with him, however, one of the youngest cabinets we've ever seen. The people he's surrounding himself in his cabinet are millennials, mostly millennials. There are so many millennials. Millennials are just going to run the entire country. All those millennials we made fun of for years because they loved, because they were, they were what going to One Direction concerts or listening to Justin Bieber records in their basement while playing video games. They're now running the country. For example, Tulsi Gabbard is 42 years old, and she is the new director of national intelligence for Donald Trump's White House. J.D. Vance is the vice president. J.D. Vance at vice president is 40 years old. One of the youngest vice presidents I think we've had in a very long time. Just turned 42. He is he looks older because of the beard, but he's just 40 years old. Elise Stefanik from New York. She is the new UN ambassador. Sits in Donald Trump's cabinet. She too is a mere 40 years old. You've got Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller, who was the architect of Donald Trump's immigration policy, one of his most trusted campaign and policy advisors. This guy is returning to the White House as deputy chief of staff under Susie Wiles. He will be in charge again of immigration policy. He's going to be in charge again of domestic policy. He's going to be in charge again of making America great again and making sure Donald Trump knows exactly what we need to do to accomplish that. He is 39. Dude's not even 40 yet. Which brings us to Vivek Ramaswamy, the co-captain of DOGE. The Department of Government Efficiency, which we thought was going to be playfully called Doge, but no, they're running with it. They've got a Twitter account now or an X account now. It is Doge. It is solidly Doge. And they are one of the youngest in history. Now, a lot of people were asking about Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth, who is a heartthrob and an Captain America lookalike, he's 43. He's 44. And according to Google, look, the age of millennials is between 28 and 43. So he missed it by like that much. He was so close to being another millennial, but he is, like I am, Generation X. So Generation X is getting the shaft. In Joe Biden's cabinet, by the way, there are only 4 people under the age of 50. There's only 4 people under the age of 50 in Joe Biden's cabinet. The youngest is, of course, Pete Buttigieg, who's 42, who, thank God that guy's gone, huh? I will not miss Pete Buttigieg at all. And it's really interesting to see that Donald Trump is doing is he's setting up the Republican Party. He's setting up the GOP for the future. He is saying, okay, I'm coming back. I'm going to clean house. I'm going to make sure that we get rid of all this corruption. I'm going to make sure we root out the deep state. I'm going to clean up the CIA, the FBI, the IRS, the DOJ, all of it. And then I'm going to make sure that the people I put in positions of power, I'm going to elevate all these young people in their 30s and early 40s so that they can stick around and be part of this government, and they can continue to push the America First MAGA agenda, the Donald Trumpism, if you will, for decades. It's just like when you're choosing a Supreme Court justice. If you actually get the ability, if you're a president and you get to choose a Supreme Court justice, you don't look for like a 60-year-old or a 70-year-old. No, you look for the youngest, smartest, most constitutional conservative jurist you can find. And you put them on the bench, and that way they can be conservative and constitutionalists for years to come. And that's what George W. Bush did when he picked John Roberts. He picked John Roberts to be the Chief Justice of the United States. I want to say he was in his early 40s. Now he's 71, but he was in his early 40s at the time. I mean, you want somebody on the bench for the long haul because the Supreme Court is your one shot to really sell your legacy and cement your legacy in stone for a long time. Well, Donald Trump realized, you know what? I can actually do it with these young whippersnappers. I could give them the credentials. I could pad their resumes, build them up. I could inject them into the government veins of the United States of America, and they could be pumping through there forever. And they could breed new conservatives. And wouldn't it be cool to have all these powerful young people that can then go out and influence other young people to be conservatives instead of the other way around? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So that's what he did. And it's not just happening with the cabinet. It's happening with the Congress. It's happening with the Senate. When you look across the congressional landscape And you see some of these people like, well, Lauren Boebert's very young. Anna Paulina Luna is also very young. Caroline Leavitt was the youngest person to ever run for Congress in New Hampshire. She lost, but then she became the face of President Trump's campaign. She's like 25, I think, maybe. All of these young people being involved in conservative politics in every level of the government is, I believe, not just smart, but also totally premeditated. This is the way that they are growing an entirely new conservative government by planting seeds instead of just, bringing old trees over. I mean, I think the oldest person right now in Donald Trump's cabinet may be Susie Wiles, Tom Homan, and Mike Waltz, who's my age. Is one of the older ones. Mike Waltz and I are the same age, and I think he's looking at all these kids going, "Wow, what is like a fraternity house around here? What's going on?" The cabinet meetings are going to look like my fraternity, our fraternity meetings, only probably with less beer because Donald Trump doesn't drink. So the millennials are taking over. If you're Gen X, your time is done. It's over. If you're Gen X and you're thinking of running as a Republican, I would just do what I do. Start a podcast. Start a YouTube channel. That's the only way you're going to be an effective political leader in this upcoming millennial-owned atmosphere and climate. It is nearly time for Christmas. And that means that coming up, and I don't know when, I may do it a couple times. When I was on the radio, I used to pick a day and it was near Christmas time, and I would read this story, The Untold Story of Christmas. And this is a story that I dedicated to Rush Limbaugh because Rush Limbaugh would tell every year at Thanksgiving the real story of Thanksgiving. And when Rush Limbaugh passed away and I was put in his slot from noon to 3, people would call me and say, "Can you tell Rush's Thanksgiving story? Will you tell Rush's Thanksgiving story?" I said, "Absolutely not. That was Rush's Thanksgiving story. I'm not about to take Rush Limbaugh's Thanksgiving story. I'm sure you can find it somewhere if you'd like to hear it." And at Christmas time, I said, "But I will tell my own Christmas story." And this is a story that I heard years ago. I was totally inspired by. I loved it. And I told it on the air. The first time I just spoke. I said, "Here's this story that you might like at Christmas time." And people clamored for it. They loved it. Next year, someone said, "Tell that story again." I said, "Okay." And I did. And much like Rush Limbaugh's annual reading of The Real Story of Thanksgiving, my annual telling of the untold story of Christmas became a Christmas tradition on the air. And then last year, or 2 years ago, somebody said, I think that should be a book. Write it down. Everybody should be able to enjoy the untold story of Christmas. Everyone should be able to give it as a gift and share it with their family. So that's what we did. We wrote a book and we put it for sale. And it's to date, and I've written a bunch of books. To date, this is the best-selling book I've ever written. And we have it up again now for Christmas time. This is the Christmas story that has never been told until now. And if you go to theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com, you can get a copy for yourself. You can get multiple copies. You can give them out as gifts. They're great gifts. We tried to make it. I wanted to make it because you know what we do? My wife, she'll buy books for Christmas and she'll leave them laying out so the kids can always pick up a Christmas book, or if you come in, it looks festive with Christmas books. And so I wanted it to look not just like a really inviting and warm and religious and inspirational tale of Jesus Christ, which it is, but I also wanted it to look cool sitting on your coffee table or fit in with your decor. And that's why we made such an elegant cover and such elegant packaging and such beautiful illustrations inside, if I do say so myself. So again, if you'd like a copy, go to theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com, order now and you'll get it well before Christmas time. You can order multiple copies, and the more you order, the bigger a discount you get. And there's a link in the description of this video on YouTube and Rumble too. So if you're on Rumble or YouTube, you can click that link. If not, just go to theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com. Theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com, and make my favorite holiday tradition your favorite holiday tradition as well, or at least one of them. Theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com.